Hello everyone. So in my today's video I will be talking about shoulder impingement. So myself Sneha Bhatia, MPT in Orthopedics and Sports Rehabilitation. So shoulder impingement is a clinical syndrome in which soft tissues become painfully entrapped in the area of shoulder joint, and patients present with pain on elevating the arm or when lying on the affected side. So mainly the patient who will be coming to OPD, they will be complaining that when they are lying on the affected side, they will be feeling pain in the shoulder, as well as when they are doing elevation of the shoulder, they may have pain. The subacromial space is delimited caudally by the head of the humerus and the rotator cuff, and the cranially by the osteofibrous roof of the shoulder, which is composed of the acromion, the coracoacromial ligament, and the coracoid process. The subacromial space contains the subacromial bursa and the rotator cuff, and the subacromial sliding space, biomechanically considered, constitutes an auxiliary joint between the rotator cuff and the roof of the shoulder. In the subacromial impingement syndrome, that is also called as SIS, the elevation of the arm leads to an abnormal contact between the rotator cuff and the roof of the shoulder. So this is the picture showing the impingement of the shoulder joint. On the picture which is on the left hand side, it is showing normal shoulder joint. We can see the bursa and the supraspinatus tendon. On the picture which is on the right hand side, we can see there is reduced subacromial space, so that is causing impingement of the supraspinatus tendon. So again, this is another picture A. We can see normal shoulder joint with the bursa and the supraspinatus tendon. In the picture B, we can see there is reduced subacromial space and it is causing impingement of the shoulder. So this is the MRI of the shoulder joint. We can see in this MRI the acromion. Underneath the acromion we have the subacromial and subdeltoid bursa, the trapezius muscle, supraspinatus muscle, supraspinatus tendon, scapula, glenohumeral joint, humeral head, deltoid. So supraspinatus insertion onto the greater tuberosity of the humeral head. So this is the area where there will be impingement. So impingement can be classified into two. One is primary impingement, another is secondary impingement. Primary impingement is mainly because of rotator cuff degeneration, because of wear and tear and because of aging or because of overuse and microtrauma. There can be degeneration of the rotator cuff which will lead to primary impingement. Then the second type is the secondary impingement, which is caused by the altered muscle dynamics. So if the muscles are not functioning properly, then it will lead to secondary impingement. So this is the picture showing the anterior view. Picture A is showing the anterior view and picture B is showing the superior view. So in this view we can see the area of impingement. So in the anterior view we can see the acromion coracoid process and the supraspinatus muscle and the subscapularis muscle, biceps brachii and biceps brachii long head. So we can see the round shaped pink color portion, that is the area of impingement on the anterior aspect of the shoulder. In the picture B we can see the superior aspect. Okay, so superiorly we can see the coracoacromial ligament, the coracoid process, subscapularis tendon, greater tuberosity, supraspinatus tendon, infraspinatus tendons and teres minor. So superiorly the area is shown in the pink color which can experience impingement. So this is the lateral view. So area of impingement is shown here in the pink color. So there are some special tests which we have to perform if we are suspecting that the patient is having impingement of the shoulder joint. There are many tests available, but I will be talking about the most important ones which we can do and then confirm if the patient is having impingement. So first one is the Neer's impingement test. So in this test, patient arm is passively and forcibly fully elevated in the scapular plane with the arm medially rotated by the examiner, and this causes passive stress and it causes jamming of the greater tuberosity against the antero-inferior border of the acromion. So if the patient is having reproduction of the symptoms or patient is experiencing pain, then this is considered as a positive test. So please remember, needs impingement test, patient's arm is into fully elevated position in the scapular plane, and then we have to do medial rotation. The test is indicative of an overuse injury to the supraspinatus muscle and sometimes biceps tendon. If the test is positive with arm laterally rotated, then we have to check for the acromioclavicular joint. The second test, which most commonly is performed for impingement syndrome, that is the Hawkins-Kennedy test. So the patient stands while the examiner forward flexes the arm to 90 degrees and then forcibly medially rotates the shoulder. This pushes the supraspinatus tendon against the anterior surface of the coracoacromial ligament and the coracoid process. So if patient is having reproduction of the symptoms or patient is having pain, then the test is considered as positive test for supraspinatus peritendinitis or tendinosis. So this is the picture showing the impingement sign. In picture A, we can see a positive near impingement sign is present if pain and its resulting facial expression are produced with the arm forcibly flexed forward by the examiner, jamming the greater tuberosity against the antero-inferior surface of the acromion. And in picture B, we can see the Hawkins-Kennedy impingement test demonstrate the impingement sign by forcibly medially rotating the proximal humerus when the arm is forward flexed to 90 degree. There is another simple test which is also called as impingement test. In that, patient is in sitting position. We have to bring the arm into 90 degree abduction and then do lateral rotation. So if in this position patient is having pain, then the test is considered as positive. There is another test which is called as posterior internal impingement test. So this is seen in overhead athletes. Rotator cuff impinges against the posterior superior edge of the glenoid when the arm is abducted, extended and laterally rotated. So if the patient is having reproduction of the symptoms, then the patient is experiencing pain, then this test is considered positive. So here in this posterior internal impingement test, please remember the arm is in the abducted position, then we have to extend the arm and then we have to laterally rotate it, and this kind of posterior internal impingement is most commonly seen in overhead athletes. Overhead athletes means athletes who are involved in racket sports and or you can say who are requiring more of shoulder elevation, they may experience posterior internal impingement. So this test can be done in supine lying. We have to do abduction towards 90 degree, 15 to 20 degree forward flexion and maximum lateral rotation. So if there is posterior shoulder pain or there is localized pain in the posterior aspect of the shoulder, then we can consider that the test is positive. And since this is seen mainly in the overhead athletes, so this athletes will be experiencing pain in late cocking and early acceleration phase of throwing. Okay, they will be experiencing pain during this maneuver. So this is the picture showing the posterior internal impingement test. So you can see the patient is in supine lying position. The arm is in 90 degree of abduction and it is laterally rotated. Again, please remember the ranges. Abduction is 90 degree, 15 to 20 degree forward flexion and maximum lateral rotation. See what happens clinically when we are performing the test. Sometimes it is possible that as soon as we start laterally rotating the shoulder, the patient may experience pain. So we have to provocate the symptoms of the patient but please make sure that you don't provocate the symptoms to the extent that later on you cannot reduce it. Okay, so if the patient cannot go further after certain range, then stop it there, because we are doing this type of provocative testing to see if the patient is testing positive and if the shoulder impingement is present or not. But we have to also make sure that we do not reproduce the patient pain to severe extent that later on it becomes difficult for the physiotherapist to reduce that pain. So reference for my today's video, I have taken the content from the book David J. Magee, Orthopedic Physical Assessment, 4th edition. We don't have a great day, we make it a great day. So thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed watching this video, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel for physiotherapy online lectures, and please share my channel with your friends. Thank you.